The Tory campaign is pushing that Keir Starmer will be a, quote, part-time Prime Minister.
Keir Starmer saying he's going to be doing a 4-day week.
He said he was going to finish work at 6 on a Friday, like many people do.
Summer Olympics. This year, the Games are taking place in Paris, a river that flows through the city. They are threatening to defecate in the river.
Defecate in the river.
All right. Ladies and gents, how are you doing? I trust it's past 6 o'clock in the evening as you're listening to this, so you can all kick back and relax. Starmer Steez. It's the week where we finally, hopefully, fingers crossed, finally get the Tories out. And do you know what, guys? I will be honest with you. I'm having a hard time keeping my tadpoles inside my fish tanks here. I'm so excited. There's the Telegraph headline that came out yesterday. It was like, a hung parliament is within our grasp, says Rishi Sunak. And I read that and I thought, God, how uninspiring. How far has he sunk in the last few weeks? You know, he's gone from that HuffPost thing where he's like, I am absolutely confident we will win the next election. I'm going to be in power for years, he said. And now he's gone to, like, from that level of confidence to, well, if I play my cards right, if I really try, I might top out at a 0-score draw. That's where he is now. And you just know, like, if it does come out as a hung parliament, I don't think that it will do, but if it did, he would be the most arrogant, cocky, confident guy to have ever come away with a stalemate, wouldn't he? He'd be the only guy in the world who would walk out of that sports hall with a draw, behaving like he had won. It was a pretty good night. I mean, it could happen. Could happen. I think. Could. It's possible. They could have a hung parliament still. But then the Survation MRP poll that came out last night, that was like, nope. I really got a good feeling. I think if we really try hard, hung parliament, it's still within our grasp. All the statisticians, all the electoral nerds. No, don't think that's going to happen, Rish. Like, how many times are they going to continue making themselves look deluded or outright moronic? You know, do they enjoy this? Looking stupid? I mean, we know the Tories lie more than Labour in these campaigns, don't we? We know that. But we usually assume that that's only to us, don't we? We assume that when they're lying, they only do it to the voters. I mean, like, I accept you're going to lie to me. I just, I accept that is nature of the beast when you are the candidate for, a Conservative parliamentarian. I'm kind of used to it now. I've lived and breathed through enough of these campaigns and referendum things and, Corbyn's first 100 days in power will be like this. Like, no, it won't. Oh, vote for me in my oven-ready deal. Oh, God. Or the 40 new hospitals we're going to build. Like, I'm used to the Tories lying to me. So much so, I actually imagine subtitles, beneath them as they're babbling away to me on the doorstep. I imagine the subtitles translating what they actually mean when they're talking garbage to me. Or like after they finish talking, like I imagine that it's a sort of, there should be a speed read, like disclaimer guy, like you get on a radio advert. Like they'll tell you what it is that they're selling you, and then they'll put all of the terms and conditions like immediately afterward, like super, super quick. Like if it was a radio ad, it'd be like, and we will build 40 new hospitals if you #vote Tory. Hospitals may or may not exist in the real world. They may not actually be hospitals. All votes are final and non-refundable. And the hospitals could also be part of a nation-building effort in Ukraine. It's that speed read disclaimer is what I imagine when they're lying to me. So I'm used to them lying to me. But lying to yourself, lads, that is a tough thing to observe. That is hard to watch. That is, lie to me. You're a politician. Lie to me. Fine. But lying to yourself is more painful. Emotionally, because, you're not heading for a hung parliament. That is delusional. That's tragic. It wasn't true after the local elections, when you deliberately didn't include the Scottish results, and it's not true now. Off the back of this polling, it's not really a possibility for you. So it's a difficult thing to observe emotionally, because it looks like you're having some sort of breakdown, but it's also a difficult thing to watch physically for me, because honestly, I don't think I've got many molar teeth left to crack and cringe through. I'm running out. Quick. Do I look like somebody who's got a healthy supply of teeth to you, really? Anyway, before we get into the this episode proper, because I can't spend the whole episode talking about the election. The episode will date too quickly then, because remember, this is going to go on Patreon and YouTube community for 2 days before it goes out to everyone else. So by the time most of you hear this, the election's going to be over. The Tories are going to be toast, consigned to the electoral dustbin. And I will be enduring the worst hangover of my adult life, no doubt. Or it will be a hung parliament and I'll look like a complete fucking idiot. But, let's not let this episode date too quickly. Let's get on to a story that I want to raise with you guys. Also, big offer to capture the Patreons. Should I put their names up on the screen? Where are they? Here they are. Look at them. Look at these gorgeous bastards. I've got all of my £5 tier and upwards Patreons and YouTube community members on there. Look at them. Those beautiful, bougie bitches. So here is a story that I wanted to talk about tonight. It's a bit of a goof, bit of a laugh. It's a bit kooky. It's a little bit weird. Guys, it says, people are threatening to poo in a Paris river. Yeah. Sometimes the headline just reaches out and grabs you by the eyeballs, doesn't it? Just really pulls you in. Sometimes it just forces you to jump in like it's Sam Neill in Event Horizon. Just tell me, do you see? You must see it. Anyway, we could get back onto some more politics in a moment, maybe, if we've got time. But this is very much, top story of any bulletin right now, as well it should be, because fuck the election, fuck Donald Trump's immunity and impending dictatorship. Some people in Paris are threatening to poo in a river, and we need to talk about that. It's part of a conversation. We need to know why, guys. Why are people threatening to poo in a river in Paris? And before we get into it, before we actually go into the story itself, maybe that's a question for you guys. What do you think would need to be the set of events that would have to take place in order for you, dear listener, to threaten to shit in a river? What would need to happen to you, or to those who you hold dear, or to your house, or your job or employment prospects? What would have to take place? What set of events would have to start for it to end up with you threatening to, pull your pants down and shit in a river in Paris? What would get you there, guys? Because I bet whoever these people are, I bet if you travelled back in time, in a DeLorean, to their younger selves, and then you showed them who they grow up to be, and you said to them, yeah, you end up being this, look, this is you. You end up being a fucking lunatic, goading passers-by that you're about to pop a squat and ruin their engagement photos. They spent their last £1,000 going to Paris to get the perfect romantic shot to put up at their wedding reception party, and this is you. That's who you become. They'd be like, oh my God. Yeah, that's you right there in that video. How do I turn into that? What happened to me? Yeah, you just end up really single and really bitter about it. And that's why I keep telling you, Sally, sometimes it's fine to settle. What would it take for you to end up being the kind of person who threatens to shit in a river? That is the question today. We ask all the important questions on this show. You don't get that on the Troll, do you? Don't get that on the news agents. Yeah, no, you don't, Aid. And those cunts win awards. Make the connection. Well, all right, okay. What would it take for you to end up being the kind of person that would poop in the River Seine? Would it take a seat at the board of Thames Water, perhaps? Would you be okay with it then? Maybe marathon training with Paula Radcliffe? That would detoxify the idea of it somewhat? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's go deeper, shall we? Let's read about this. It says, Parisians have threatened to poo in the River Seine in a protest ahead of the Olympics, guys. It says, people angry at the expense of cleaning up the river have rallied under the hashtag Je chie dans la Seine le 23 juin, which translates as I shit in the Seine on the 23rd of June. So they threatened to poo in the river, but at the cost of cleaning it? That's what the protest is about? Like, you're that... How are you that angry at the cost of having a clean river? Like, I'd be more upset about having a shitty river. I would. That's just me. I mean, I am. I'm upset about our rivers and our lakes and shoreline. But how can you... See if I don't get... How can you be more upset about the cost of cleaning it than the end result of having a what? Having a river Hades of poo flowing through it, flowing through the streets of Paris. How can you be more cross about the cost of cleaning it and ending up with a clean river than having fucking poo sludge? You know, like, am I angry about poor fiscal responsibility? Sure I am. But am I that angry? I don't know. And it says what? It says they rallied under the hashtag Je chie dans la Seine the 23rd of June. So that's good. That's a group of people all saying, I shit in the Seine on the 23rd of June. That is one unfortunate group of people when they all get Googled for their job interviews, isn't it? You know, you're going to get people in like big blue chip companies based in Paris. You're going to be interviewing some of these people. Well, what's her name? What's her name? Anne-Marie. Right, okay. Have you Googled her? Oui. Pop her in Google. Check that it's not the Hawk Tour girl. You know, or she's not some random that's been caught shouting the N-word on someone else's TikTok or something like that. Like, you don't want to hire a problem. Someone that's going to embarrass the company, who you later have to fire because there's something else. Like, because they do this. I'm not exaggerating. People Google candidates to check that they're not crazy people or hugely contentious or salacious or, you know, you get the idea. And what are they going to find out when they Google, like, one of this lot? When they go for a job at, like, IBM or, you know, Orange or whatever the big French telephone network companies are, you know? What are they going to find when they Google their name? It's going to be some guy like going, yeah, what'd you say her name was? Juliette de la Rouge. Right, okay, all right, let me just check. Hold on. What have you found? Is she on there? Yeah. Yeah, something's popped up. Oh, no. What is it? Is it bad? Well, it's not ideal. Oh, that's frustrating. It's not. What is it? The start? Is it like White Lives Matter thing again? No, not White Lives Matter. What is it? Was it anti-vaxxer in the pandemic or something? No, not anti-vaxxer. She's not racist, not anti-vaxxer. Right. Well, come on. What is it? Well, Jean-Claude. It seems as though she's into shitting al fresco. Yeah, it's maybe one for the maybe pile. It says, last Sunday was supposed to be the day that the mayor swam in the river to prove that it was clean enough for athletes in the Olympics to swim in, but it was postponed at the last minute until after the French elections in July. Which, I mean, I don't know why that would be. Like, why would the French elections in July stop you from taking a swim in a river now? Like, what relation those two? Why delay the swim for the election? And actually, do you know what? Like, if you're mayor of Paris, right, and maybe you think your opponent might steal your job, maybe then you're like, do you know what? If I lose this mayoral as part of the elections, if I lose my job, it's going to suck. It really is. I love this job, love the money, love the sweet, sweet mayoral salary and all the perks. It's going to suck if I lose being mayor to you. But do you know what? The silver lining, if there ever could be one, is that on day one of your new job, I'm going to watch you doing a front crawl through this literal river of shit. That's like... like... So, maybe that's what it is. Maybe she's like, we can wait a few weeks, can we not? This isn't urgent. The river will still be here in July. Terrible French accent. I apologise. It says also Macron has also committed to doing it, although he hasn't said when either. So you see, like, maybe, I mean, you know, he could lose the election in July as well. Is it presidential in France? I know they've got a lot of elections coming up, but I'm not familiar enough with their system. But yeah, if it's the mayoral and it's Macron as well, this all kind of adds up, doesn't it? It's like, let us wait a few weeks. Anyway, basically it comes down to, let's actually try and be half serious here for a second, shall we? Basically what this comes down to is the fact that it says in this report, it says that £1.2 billion has been spent trying to get the river clean enough to swim in, rather than using that money to fix the social problems in Paris that everybody is facing, right? And it's the same everywhere that the Olympics goes, isn't it? I remember when it was us. Remember when it was the UK Olympics, 2012, obviously. I remember everyone was like, in a few years' time, we are going to wonder how, at a time when hospitals were closing, when nurses needed a pay rise, when people were starving, we had poverty in 2012. It's not a brand new thing. It's gotten worse, but it was still then there. Like, people are going to wonder in a few years' time, how did we spend £25 billion on 2 weeks of sport? People will say. Remember people saying that back in 2012. And then you would have the other side, obviously around that time, who would have said, what a load of rubbish. Nobody's going to be talking about that. What is wrong with you? And of course, actually, weirdly, those people turned out to be right. Because not only does nobody ever really talk about the Olympics anymore, but the £20 billion that we spent on it ended up being dwarfed by the £100 billion that we spent on Brexit every single year. What's 20 billion? Who cares about that? 20 billion for a few blocks of flats and a nice park in East London feels comparatively pretty good value. If the alternatives are, $1 billion for one shitless river, or 100 billion for nothing. 25 billion for a nice park seems, I'm actually all right with that. It's a pretty good deal. But I suppose, this is the sort of thing that winds people up, really, isn't it? Is if you decamp the homeless as part of your Olympic preparations, because you don't want to be embarrassed. You don't want to have Paris or London or Moscow or Brazil had the big thing. Was it the Brazilian World Cup where they cleared away all the homeless? Can't have those on TV. Goodness me. If you decamp the homeless, sweep them away, if you spend £1 billion that you don't have trying to, declog the Seine or whatever, you funnel 10 billion to Ukraine or Kabul or whatever. I know that's not the Olympics or, the World Cup or whatever, but the principle is the same. All of this money, these billions of pounds or dollars or euros funneled out to other places. But then when you look on your own doorstep, there's just this seemingly unsolvable buffet of social problems. You're spending 20 billion on that tournament, on that games thing. What is this? Is it Gladiator or something? Some party in Prince. I spent 20 billion on having a party. Absolutely. Well, could we just get 3 billion to help these single mothers get back on their feet? Could we just 3 billion? No. What if they dressed up like carp and pike and draped shit all over themselves? Would you sling them a couple of billy then? Would you help the shit river Merde-maid get back on her feet then? And yeah, basically what I'm saying is, if you don't take care of number one, if you don't take care of the people on your own doorstep, your actual population, then they start to look at the news, right? At at international aid, at reports of nation building, right? See some news report that's like the United States and Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom government, David Cameron, have committed £9 billion to infrastructure projects in the east side of Croatia today, because their schools have been falling to pieces and their rail lines, my God, their rail lines are like third world country now. They barely run on time at all anymore. And these people see that, right? And they're like, is there any chance of a little bit of nation building closer to home, David? Is there? Any chance of 9 billion to run the Waterloo line on time just once this month? Any chance of a new school or a hospital in Aldershot? They keep on crumbling, Dave. And it does make you angry. It does. It does make you question where our money goes to, like domestically, for our own schools and hospitals and rail lines and all the rest of it. It does look like it gets you angry at fiscal irresponsibility. Or, you know, if you're slightly cognitively challenged, it might get you angry in a different direction. You know, if you're the wrong sort of moron who believes government responses like, we do build schools in the United Kingdom. Of course we do. It's just that they're all full up with foreigners. But, you know, if you're not a moron, if you are able to function mentally, yeah, you might just get, you know, a bit angry about it. Angry about government waste. But how angry is the question, isn't it, dear listeners? How angry? Could you be angry enough about government waste and the national debt to pull down your pants and maliciously shit about it? That is the question. What else is going on out there, guys? Let's move on. So it's been a week or two since we did a, 2020 update, if you like, on all things Trump, on all things Biden, what's going on over in the United States. And obviously, since the last midweek show, there's been that Supreme Court ruling, which, I've talked about here and there on the paper reviews. It's quite scary stuff, basically, if you want a quick explainer, it basically says that whoever is president, whilst they're doing, in official capacity, in quote, official capacity, they can't be prosecuted for that. They are effectively, now, for all intents and purposes, above the law. Which means Donald Trump's trial for stealing documents, he could make the case that, well, when I moved them to my property, I was still kind of ish president then, and I was doing it because I care about America and documents and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's official. It was official business, and so therefore you can't get me for it. You could also make the case that January the 6th, he was still, that was a transfer of power, right? So he was still president. He had concerns over vote rigging. I guess it's just official, guys. I guess I'll be on my way. And there's a lot of people saying, well, this will be the thing that kills him then, both politically and literally. Politically, because the theory is that most floating voters, it's dead heat at the moment, right, between Biden and Trump, or has been, until very, very recently. So this is the push that the floating voters will need to smell the trouble that's coming, i.e., insurrectionist is then later given basically unchecked power to behave however he likes while he's president. Do you really want to gift that freedom to somebody as unstable as Donald Trump is the question that is now going to be asked of these floating voters. And the theory is that a lot of them will go, nah. Look what he did last time before we gave him the get out of jail free card. He already didn't care before when he could have got in trouble for it. What's he going to be like now when he can't possibly face any repercussions? Is the theory. So politically, this could kill him. Also physically, it could, I guess, in theory, result in his death now, right? The idea is that, if presidents are now above the law, if they can't face legal repercussions for acts that they have taken while they were president, as long as they were in a official capacity, then in theory, Joe Biden could have Donald Trump killed, assassinated, because he's a threat to national security or something. So it could result in his death that way too. So the theory is that this could potentially end Donald Trump's political career. It would spook too many people, but it could also, Joe Biden could do X, Y, and Z. However, if the concern is that there might be challenges or issues with handing this Supreme Court lawlessness to an older gentleman who may or may not be completely mentally stable, if that's the concern, then how is the solution to that problem giving the same thing to Joe Biden? How is it not occurring to any of these people who are like, oh, well, this is it for Donny then? No! This is it for Joe Biden. This is not a good time for Joe Biden or the Democrats right now. Honestly, like these people taking pride, taking glee in something that they think is good, but actually it's not. Like, I mean, they're basically as bad as Rishi Sunak if he did win a hung parliament. Walking out the sports centre, I won! No, you fucking didn't! You moron! Climbing out of the River Seine, draped in shit. I feel like an Olympian! Man. I mean, I was thinking the other day, right, that the best thing for America right now might actually be, like, I stop short of wishing death on anyone out there. I hope nobody dies ever, forever and ever, I'm sure their families would be mortified, etc., etc. All of the usual, prerequisite disclaimer stuff, so you don't think I'm a complete fucking sociopathic monster. But, like, I honestly think the best thing for America right now might be if Donald Trump and all of his family were JFK'd. I really think that might be the only thing that could defuse. And then all of the MAGA lot can go, they can be like the JFK fans, the mourning JFK obsessive. They can have a conspiracy theory. They can go, what might America have been like had he lived? They can have all of that. They can have the Elvis is still alive. I saw him. They can have that. It's a whole industry. But I really think the best thing for America might be if Donald Trump and his close family all happened to die in a, car accident or a downed plane or something. Like, I'm sure it would be horrible for their family, their immediate family, but it might be for the greater good. It might be the best thing for America. On the left, they had JFK. They got to enjoy that fantasy all the time. Oh, what could it have been like? On the right, now they can have Donald Trump. Donald Trump will be the right's JFK. You can have movies about it. You can catch a flight in a tour bus to the place that it happens, whatever it is. Mar-a-Lago can be Graceland. You can go there once a year. You can do a little curtsy as you walk in at the big golden sculpted head that they have. Women can do the curtsy, and guys can do like the sort of the weird thumb thing that he does. When Trump's in the picture, he does like a thumb, but it's always like just off to the side, like he's got nerve damage. Women could do the curtsy to the big golden Donald head, and men could do like a little thing at the Mar-a-Lago Graceland. You can have that, but it might just be for the best for America to avoid the civil war that they're definitely careering towards uncontrollably. Might be the only thing that is left as a means of avoiding that. A lot of the time when I rag on Joe Biden, I get people in the comments and the DMs, and they'll say things like, leave Joe alone. Leave Joe Biden alone. What is wrong with you? It's Biden or Trump. Why are you ragging on Biden? What is wrong with you? And, before I say what I'm about to say, let me just say this. Firstly, don't tell me to not poke my beak into your geopolitical affairs. Just don't do that. Because you sound fucking ridiculous. Do you have any idea how ridiculous it sounds for an American to tell somebody else not to poke their beak into other geopolitical affairs? You sound ridiculous. So just clam it with that one. But secondly, I like Joe Biden. I do. I think Joe Biden is a sweet old man. I do. But let me just say this, what I'm about to say. If you like Joe Biden, if you love him, right, and you're one of these people who march into the comments section, you're like, you leave Joe alone. He's had a hard life, man. He has had a hard life. He really has. You know, I get this all the time. He's had a hard life. You know, his first son died. And then his second son fucked the wife of the first dead kid. It's really actually quite messed up. Quite traumatic for old boy Joe. I mean, that does sound... His wife died. His first wife died. That's also, you know, really sad. That is... He has had a hard life. I'm not taking that away from him at all. Hunter Biden was a crackhead. He's gone to jail now. He's definitely had a hard life. I'm not arguing that. He has. But if you like Joe Biden, if you love Joe Biden, and you agree that he's had a hard life, why, in God's name, would you want to take that sweet old man whose entire life is already a 5-part Showtime special of pain and trauma? Why would you want to take that sweet old man and saddle more drama and awfulness onto him? Like, hey, Joe, I heard you had a hard life. I heard your first kid passed away. I heard your first wife died before her time. I heard your other kid is a crackhead and fucked away. It's really fucked up from start to finish. Your life is like a bookshelf full of sad stories. Or how would you also like to go down in history as the doddery old man who handed over the world's greatest democracy to a despot? No, I don't think I like that. You sound confused, Joe. You sound confused. Let's sign you up. We got you covered, man. Why would you urge him to continue down this road? Anyway, yes, the polling is not looking too great for Joe Biden now. It's looking like Donald Trump is leading in most of the key states in the American election. A lot of people saying Gavin Newsom needs to step up. I talked about that this morning on the paper review. I mean, I'm just gonna say this, guys. Right? I think that given that Trump has basically been given full immunity, right? And given that Biden could probably blame it on dementia anyway, right? Or say that he's got Supreme Court immunity, right? Because he's a president too, so he could blame it on that. And also bear in mind that Joe Biden has been told before that he basically couldn't be prosecuted anymore for things anyway, right? Like, I don't know if you remember that, but do you remember when they questioned him? It was a prosecutor guy questioned him over his classified documents that he had taken away and stashed away in his house or his garage or whatever. And the guy interviewed him, he questioned him, and he came away with this conclusion. He was like, well, you know, he's a sweet old man, but I could never get a conviction for somebody like that because he's kind of forgetful and confused a lot of the time. No jury is going to convict somebody like that. Like Biden is the triple threat, okay? He's never going to jail for 3 reasons. Like Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, they're like polar opposites, guys. They're really like Hunter Biden is being propelled towards jail, whereas Joe Biden is never setting a foot in a prison ever. He's got his 3 separate get out of jail free cards. Has Joe Biden. He's got the Supreme Court thing from the other day. He's got his dementia. And he's got the precedent of another prosecutor saying he would never be able to prosecute. But anyway, given that Joe is never going to jail, all I'm saying, guys, all I'm saying is that maybe it's the best thing for Western liberal democracy if Joe just goes and gets Hunter's gun, and then at least, it gives his Showtime biopic a happy, heroic fucking ending, doesn't it? I mean, we could probably pay him to do it as well. The MAGA lot are happy, they get their Graceland, a conspiracy theory. We're happy because Western liberal democracy gets restored. We could pay Joe Biden to take care of business. Sort out their country. You know, we could put a request into the Treasury. We could file it under nation building. You know, 1.3 billion pounds. Yeah, make it out to Joe Biden. There you go, Joe. Restore democracy. Save the world. It's your 1 point... No, not really, guys. Not really. I can already hear the comment section going insane. People are like, how could you be so callous, Aid? That is undemocratic. Joking about murdering a presidential nominee. How could you joke about that stuff? You know, I'm not suggesting really we should... Well, maybe I am a little bit. But... I'm just saying, you know, 1.3 bill to Joe, and it could fix the whole thing for everyone. And I'm sorry if that sounds callous. I'm sorry if that sounds cruel, probably a little bit sociopathic. But honestly, like, it helps if you think of it. Think of it like this way, right? Think of it like this. Think of America as a river, okay? And Donald Trump is a floating turd in the river that Joe Biden would be getting paid 1.3 billion euros or pounds or dollars to clean the river so that we might all be able to swim peacefully in it after the election. Guys, that's it for this one. Don't forget to go out and vote tomorrow, obviously. If you can, if you are open to it, do consider voting tactically. Use the stopthetories.vote website. You type in your postcode, it tells you who's most likely to beat the Tory in your area. Let's hope for a big Labour majority. Let's hope for proportional representation, and let's hope for press regulation in the coming parliament or parliaments. That's what I'm shooting for. I mean, you know, press reg for newspapers, right? Traditional legacy mainstream media. Let's get some regulation wrapped around that. But not YouTube, guys. Not YouTube. I want to still be able to joke about one president murdering another one and then blaming it on his own dementia. I want to be able to joke about that without fear of being reined in. I'll be back on Friday night for the Friday night live show. That's every Friday at 7:30. If you tune in to Labour Social, well, Politics Social it is now, isn't it? Politics Social every Friday at 9 p.m. on YouTube. If you tune into those guys, and sometimes I'm on it as well. If you tune into that at 9 o'clock on a Friday night, I'm on from 7:30 till 8:30 before. So come over to me, have a beer and a wine or a doobie or whatever it is. Have that with me from 7:30 to 8:30. Then you've got half an hour, 20 minutes or so, depending on how poorly I've prepped, how badly I've overrun. And then you can jump on Labour Social straight afterwards. You see? It all works out. You got your Friday night covered. But yes, until then, I'm out this motherfucker. Hope you enjoy this election and the results and the partying and all of that as much as I absolutely definitely will. And until next time, keep it strictly #Bimfluencer, keep it booge, and we are out this motherfucker!
Hey!